They say never meet your heroes. But here at PowerDrift, we believe in things differently. So welcome to a new series where we meet our motoring heroes. And this one, our first episode, isn't about a poster car like a Ferrari F40 or a Lamborghini Countach.
I'm on the move with my head on a swivel and try to stay 3 steps ahead or they'll get you. Big homie cleans the mess like a tissue.
I remember when these came out new, I had just turned 5 and like every other Indian family, we had a Premier Padmini. Now my grandfather had just sold his 1984 Maruti 800 a few years before that, MAS 720, if you ever find that car. It probably doesn't exist. If you do find that car, I want it back. As I said, we had a Premier Padmini. My dad was head of testing for Premier and he was very, very fascinated to see this new car up close. The newest Maruti on offer, the Zen. So long we went in tow, my mom and I with my dad, to Vitesse, which is a lovely Maruti dealer in South Mumbai. And I remember seeing one in white in that showroom. Of course, it didn't have the wheels, it had the standard steel wheels on it. We wanted one and we couldn't afford one because it was 3.5 lakh rupees back then. But my aunt could, and she did. And she bought one in yellow. And instantly, she was the coolest aunt that there ever was. White was the most common. Reds were popular, but not as much as yellow. There was a violet too, and a blue, like a packet of gems. But none commanded a premium like the yellow one did, especially in the north, and especially in Delhi. If you drove a yellow Zen back in the day, people turned, people noticed.
If I shine, then you gotta shine. I got your back and you got mine.
So let me take you through some mechanical bits. I don't need my phone or a notepad or a brochure to read these specs through because these specs have literally been stamped into my subconscious for like decades now. So 1 litre engine, obviously the same engine that came in the Maruti 1000, 1 litre, 1000cc, and the same engine that came in the original Gypsy, albeit the Gypsy had a slightly different cam if I'm not wrong. G10B is what this engine is called. It had obviously 4 cylinders. 4 cylinders. The 800 had just 3, so that was a big deal in a hatchback. And this had 71 Newton meters and 50 horsepower. 50! Also, because remember the 800 was 35 horsepower and the Padminis, well, they struggled to get to 40. And this weighed just under 750 kilos. That's it. I'm gonna avoid doing that for the sake of mine. But I could if I wanted to. I could lift it up. It's nothing.
Just wanna wander and let my heart be free. You don't get yourself so caught up 'cause it ain't meant to be.
This is a 1994 Zen, which makes it one of the earlier cars. But unlike popular belief or myth, and this is something I want to dispel right away, the Zens were never made in Japan. They were made right here in India. So that myth, let's completely dispel it immediately, right from the get-go. Now obviously this is carbureted and it is a dual barrel Mikuni, just like the one you get in the Maruti 800. It has bigger Venturis and jets, of course, because it had to, bigger cylinders and all. But I like these older cars, they're so analog. I mean, especially driving around in modern turbocharged things, it's so direct. I press the throttle pedal actuates a cable, the cable opens the butterflies in the carburetor, butterflies dump in fuel, the valves do their thing, and you make power. No ECUs delaying my throttle response. No Capcom clamping down on my exhaust performance. No pesky emission-related nonsense. When you're used to driving modern, power-assisted everything cars, this sort of stuff for the normal people does take time to get used to. The brakes, for example, are a little iffy. They could have been slightly better. But everything is, as I mentioned, so direct. The steering, for example, just feels phenomenal. So connected. Obviously, this is manual steering. Zen did get power steering later. In fact, Zen was the first car, I believe, to get electronic power steering, if I'm not wrong. But everything, I mean, look, just the interiors, all the lovely dials, the AC knob, the seats. I mean, what a phenomenal trip down memory lane this is for me. And as good as this is, it was about to get better. A lot better.
Don't think lying around waiting for you, not crying like the other girls do.
In 2003, Maruti suddenly had a problem. It had a big pain in its metaphorical backside because they made 600 cars to export to Europe, well, Poland in specific. And then Poland turned around and said, oh, no, we don't want these anymore. You can keep your cars, they're too old for us. We want something new and modern. And so instead of selling it to another country, as they would normally do, they decided, well, let's just sell it to our Indian population. And thus was born, ladies and gentlemen, one of the most legendary enthusiast cars India has ever seen. The twins, Zen Carbon, two-door in black, obviously, and the steel in silver. And if you know me by now, and if you've seen the PowerDrift podcast enough, you know that this is my unicorn. This or these is what I desperately crave in life. It just looks so perfect, doesn't it? I mean, this is what the Zen was always meant to be. It should have been a two-door all along. It's just our obsession with four-door cars, which it's not like it was stiffer or anything. It was not like it was better to drive. It's not like the engine had more power or like better brakes or better suspension. It was exactly the same. But just looks so balanced, doesn't it? I'm just gonna take it for a drive.
Don't think lying around waiting for you, not crying like the other girls do. I'm totally done, moved on. Only hurts when I breathe it.
Okay, let's first get this out of the way because this is a public service announcement. If by any chance, and I hope it does, this video prompts you to go out and look for one and get yourself a Zen, then get the MPFI. Don't get the carburetor. Now, I know the carb one is more, well, it's older, it's more analog, it's probably the one that you want to keep for a very long amount of time. But new carburetors are impossible to find for the love of money. It doesn't matter what amount of money you want to pay, you do not get a brand new Mikuni carburetor. It's not possible. And carburetor packing parts are, or rebuilding parts are as difficult. But the MPFI, well, that thing will start every morning. And it's more powerful. I mean, no brainer, isn't it? Okay, enough talk about MPFI versus carb. Let's talk about this car. Now, this is a friend's car, and I know I can probably, if I really wanted to, call him whenever I wanted to borrow it and borrow it for like half a day or a day, and he probably wouldn't mind. I mean, he could drive one of my old cars. But driving your dream car is always going to be special. It just is. And for me, this is my unicorn. This is my dream car. Sure, the Ferrari F40 is the unattainable dream car, or inshallah, maybe someday it is attainable. This is an attainable dream car. And I still somehow, it sort of keeps getting away from me. But even though this feels like a normal Zen on the inside, with the exception of the leather bits, this is special. For me, every time I drive one of these, this is special. "30 years since this glorious lineup. One that was killed off unceremoniously by Maruti Suzuki with that god-awful Zen Estilo. That car, that did not deserve the Zen badge. Do you like these? Don't be ashamed if you do. Scream it from the rooftops because you are not alone.
Looking in the mirror and I see the truth. Hear no evil, see no evil, I'm just in pursuit. Listen, give it all I got. I'm in a rocket ship, you know I'm headed for the top. I can't stop, boy. I don't want the fame, I just need the love. I came here to stay, ain't no giving up. Yeah, I came from the bottom, I came from the bottom. Yeah, I came from the bottom, I came from the bottom. They don't wanna see me get my door right.
You are not alone.
Yeah, headed to the top and ain't no doubt about it. Yeah, I came from the bottom, I came from the bottom. Yeah, I came from the bottom, I came from the bottom.